Today, I'm going to be building up a Sherman Easy 8. I'm Angela and welcome to Hobby Night. Now, I've built quite a number of tanks on this channel so far. Well, specifically two. One was an Israeli tank with a Merkava and the other was a Czech tank with the Panzer 38T. So I figured why not get back to my American roots and build something American, which is why I picked up the Sherman M4 E3 E8. I have been looking forward to building this. It's been something that you guys have been recommending to me in my comments, so without further ado, let's get to clipping things out and putting this bad boy together. One of my biggest curiosities whenever I open up one of these Tamiya kits is what materials are going to be inside the box. Unlike my Games Workshop models that I'm used to working on, these kits aren't always pure plastic. Sometimes they come with die-cut metal, and in this case, my Sherman comes with some rubber treads, which I'm super pumped about because the last time I got to work with rubber treads was during my Merkava build, my very first tank that I built on this channel, and oh my gosh, I loved it. I got to play with fire, and I'm gonna be very curious if this more modern kit is going to give me the same instructions or if we're going to be using a different technique to get these treads in place. We're going to unbox everything out of its plastic, get them all arranged, and then we can go ahead and look at the instruction manual because I want to familiarize myself with the various steps, and we'll go over that next. The main reason that I want to spend a little bit of time going over the instruction manual before we actually get into this build is predominantly so that I can go over which areas do not need glue on them. You see, in the past, when I've built both my Merkava and the Panzer 38T, I accidentally glued some pieces that were meant to be mobile and they got sealed into position. So I want to avoid that with the Sherman and make sure that everything that's supposed to be in motion remains in motion. The other reason I like to go over the book is because Tamiya's kits actually give you a lot of information in their instruction manuals, including the paints that you might want to use if you're painting this model as you're building it, which I am not going to be doing today. Although this will come into factor a little bit later, so keep that in mind that these instructions are there. Enough dilly-dallying. Let's go ahead and start getting this Sherman Easy 8 assembled. Now I'm going to attack this page by page rather than step by step. I just feel like that's going to be more satisfying for me. I like seeing these pieces assemble very quickly, and it'll allow me to get through a lot of the pieces much faster. So the first step is to start clipping things out. I'm going to go through this with my standard clippers, making sure all the pieces are relatively clean afterwards. And in order to clean them up, the first thing to do is take my clippers, get any of the excess larger chunks of sprue that might be left on the pieces, and then come back in with some sanding tools that I have from God Hand and use those to smooth everything over, including some of the finer mold lines that we have on the model. After that's done, we can start assembling and gluing the pieces together. Hey guys, I just wanted to jump into the video to remind you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, especially if you're enjoying the content that you find here. And if you're into the spicier side of the hobby, well, my Only Fanatics VIP page is currently 50% off through the end of the month for new subscribers. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, use the link in the video description below, and I hope to see you there. Now let's go ahead and get back to the video. Thanks, Angela, from that word from our sponsor. Now, let's get back to this build. We are down to the assembly portion, and this process I thought was gonna be the most straightforward step yet, but Tamiya decided to throw some new techniques at me, and I am super pumped for this because I've never gotten to actually drill anything into my models that wasn't just me kit bashing or drilling out a Space Marine's barrel on his gun. And we actually get to drill some stuff in this particular tank. It terrified me, but thankfully I was doing this live on stream, which if you'd like to catch any of the live streams where I'm working on some of these tanks in the future, do make sure to subscribe. But chat got me through it. They encouraged me. We drilled some holes into the hull and a couple other places when necessary, and the assembly process started coming together very, very quickly. Now, there are a couple other important moments that I want to call out. Occasionally, I decided to switch from my Tamiya extra thin cement, which is a wonderful plastic glue that seals these pieces together really brilliantly, to a craft glue. The reason I went for a craft glue is because I was working with some clear plastic pieces, and in the past, when I've used the extra thin cement, they've made those clear plastics very, very foggy. However, people in chat and in my comments in the past have told me that white craft glue works perfectly on these clear plastic pieces. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and use. But there was one moment where I needed to put a clear plastic piece in, and I realized I need to pull out some paint. Because you see, I had a lamp that was going on the front of the hull that needed to have some silver on the interior before we put the clear plastic over top of it. So I actually followed those painting instructions that were inside the booklet, and I went ahead and put some silver paint in there before sealing on that clear plastic. After that was done, we went back to our plastic glue, assembled everything together, and now we can put the whole thing together. It's finally time. I have all of the final 4 pieces ready to assemble on this tank. However, I'm actually gonna keep the treads off for now because I do actually want to paint this tank. And I think attaching the treads permanently would probably be a bad idea. So they're gonna stay off right now. But we do want to get this thing assembled just to see what the final tank looks like because I've actually not put it together yet. And I'm very, very excited. So without further ado, first, I know I need to slide this in here somehow. Ooh, hold on. Fiddly. Oh, yes. Yes, come on. You can do it, tank. You can do it, little tank. What am I doing wrong? Yay! Okay.
Turn it around for me. Slower than that, please.
Apologies. Oh my goodness, I'm so happy. I was actually very worried because I had kind of messed with that little flappy piece at the very front that is supposed to hold it in there. And I wasn't sure that was gonna work. So I'm really glad that I didn't mess that up. So we have this on, and the last thing that we need to do is put the turret on, which will be pretty straightforward. I think we just go here first, maybe. Oh, hold on, this way. There we go. So it's in there, and then slide. And now we have the Sherman Easy 8. And things actually move like they're supposed to.
Ooh.
Like, it's really, really cool. This was one of my main priorities when building this tank. I wanted to make sure that all of the wheels, everything that was supposed to move actually still moved. Because when I built the Panzer and the Merkava, I worked some things up and some things ended up being just stuck in place. And I really was hoping to avoid that with the Sherman, and I think I did it. So I'm overall incredibly pleased with this. Now, obviously, the next steps are going to be painting this, which we're definitely going to be doing, and we're going to be doing that quite soon, but it will be a little bit of time in between. I haven't decided fully how I'm gonna paint this. I assume that the Sherman probably has a couple different paint schemes, so I'm going to be looking into that, and make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you don't wanna miss the live streams, because I guarantee you I will definitely be painting this live on the channel in the future. So if you wanna hang out with me, maybe give me some guidance, or just chat with me about tanks, that's how to do it. I am absolutely thrilled with how this Sherman turned out, and I wanted to thank you guys for joining me on my journey in building the tank up. It's been an absolute blast, and before I head out, I do want to give one final thank you to my patrons for making it so content like this can continue to happen. Without your guys' support, we would not be doing this, so thank you very, very much. I have been Angela, and I hope you have a wonderful hobby night and are able to join me for when I paint the Sherman. Today, I am going to be building up my first American tank, the Sherman M4 A3 E8. I got it slowly. Listen, it's actually very hard for me to remember, but we're going to be building up the Sherman Easy 8 today.